So we've got the setup to go ahead and test the effectiveness of the two different gaskets for the variable volume lids. We've got a vinyl gasket already on there now, and then the second test will be repeated with one of the white rubber gaskets. So our setup basically has hooked up to a regulator. We've got a gas flow coming in, going into the top, and the top basically is a blow-off valve. The white silicone tubing coming off the top of that going into the 500 ml beaker with the water would show if any of the sufficient pressure had built up inside the vessel to go ahead and trigger that blow-off valve, and we would see some bubbling happen in the flask if that happens. I've got the lid set all the way to the top of the green as is recommended, and all along the edges you can see I've got star sand filling that gap where the edge of the lid and the tank and the gasket all kind of meet up. So that's just basically full of star sand, and its role is just to show that as soon as if there's any kind of a leaking, it will actually have a foaming bubbling action, and we'll be able to spot the part of the leak. So I'm going to go to the regulator and I'm going to hook it up, and I have it set to dead zero now. I'm going to start turning it on, and you'll start to hear just barely hear any flow starting to happen off the regulator, and that's it. It won't even register on the PSI. There it goes. I'll back it off even. Barely a little bit of a, right, not even moving on the PSI. Right there. So come back down here, and we'll take a look. And we'll go around the gasket. Here. So now there's pressure coming into it. And as we come around to where the seam is, again, everything is the same, nothing happening in our blow off, so that's fine. However, there we go. So I'll go ahead and clear that away. You can see that where that's happening is pretty much where the seam is made on that gasket. Again, just kind of reiterate the point. Come back up, and PSI is not even registering at all. Turn that off. Not even flowing at all. And it's pretty clear that there's a really strong gap. So to sum it up on the vinyl gasket, it seems like what the problem is that even though we are pumped up to the top of the green, it's still not enough to, the lid doesn't fall in obviously, but it's still not enough to actually seal up that gap on the side. So that seems to be the problem. Alright, we'll go ahead and do the test again, this time with the white gasket. Right, so we've swapped out lids, and now we're looking at the white rubber gasket. It's the same setup of before pretty much. So we're dealing with the gas of the regulator set at 0 and totally turned off right now. Gas is coming into, again, that same blow-off setup, going into right from there. And if it blows off, and if anything passes through, enough pressure is able to be built, it will come out the white silicone tube, and the bubbling will start to come out the actual 500 ml beaker right there. Per the instructions for the white gasket, we are pumped all the way up, pegged on the actual pump itself. So I will go up and then start to turn on the regulator. We go here. So we just barely see, just like we did before, barely start to get any movement or pressure. I'll turn it down. So you can barely hear the regulator hissing. Again, no PSI indicated at all, so not even moving at all. Coming back down here to see what's happening. We'll come here and take a look. And you can see so far, nothing is building along the rim. There's no leaking coming out the sides. Okay. No leaking Where we would have seen it on the vinyl gasket by this time were where the actual gasket would bubble past. We'll go here, take a look at the whole top like this. Pressure's still kind of going in, and that kind of build up. Again, it's on the lowest setting possible. Pretty much, looking around the edge from where it was before, there's no leaking at all.